Welcome back. It's Pretty Girl season, and today is my birthday. So, this episode today is all about reflecting on another year of life, another year living your best life, or in this case, my best life. So, to begin reflecting off on this year, where is it that I expect to be in a year's time? So I'm going to be real raw and unfiltered right now. I'm going to be honest. I have a lot of expectations, but I can handle it. And I truly believe that I am aligned in my purpose this year. I want to stay positive and I want to keep reaffirming the positive thoughts that are in my mind. And I want to continue having a positive mindset, no matter, regardless of their circumstances. God forbid the worst, of course. My time is coming. And I want you all to believe that this year is going to be a chance for you to reach a greater, matter of fact, a greater level of awareness, of health, of respect, of honor, of dignity. This is your year to create the life of your dreams, the life that you have envisioned since you were a child, going into your adolescence and even throughout your teenage years. So I'm going to start off by starting this conversation with my best memory of 2024. Avi, it's a year from then now, but I'm talking about within the year before my birthday and just reflecting on my best moments. I think that's where I'm going to start off this podcast today. So I am someone who is very in tune and into being creative and enjoying being, you know, just a unique individual. I really love to stay in tune with my inner child and who I am as a person. And I feel like that's a really important thing to do, especially in adulthood, to have hobbies and do extracurricular activities that really keep you youthful and young and glowing and happy and cherishing all the wonderful moments. You don't have to be a celebrity or an influencer to live like one within your own budget. It's not even about how much money you spend, and it's not even about having to show it off to the world. Sometimes we should just do things for ourselves. And this year and the next year and the years that are coming and the years that are following are all about us taking advantage of being in the 21st century and living in a time where we have so many advantages. And it's time to realize and remember that youth is fleeting and it's not always going to be around. So, yes, of course, we have plenty of ways nowadays to extend that youthful period. But at the end of the day, one day, we're going to be in a time where we're reflecting on the past. So before we get there, and of course, those are going to be the great times as well. Before we reach those moments, let's enjoy our youth and be satisfied with who we are today in the present moment. Today, I want you, actually, if you can't do it for yourself, then do it for the pod. Do it for the podcast and do it for the pretty girls out here. Do it for the pretty girls because it's pretty girl season. And we have a lot of expectations throughout the year. But if you're listening to this and I want you to listen to this on your birthday all over again, just remember that today is your day. Today is my day. And back to where I was going with this. My favorite memory of the 2024-2025 year of my birth year. I would have to say that I really love that I took initiative because I really didn't do much last year for my birthday, and I tried to, at least prioritize self-care. And I felt like that was really important in that moment because I think I was just really stressed out. And I was like, another year, and I still haven't started the pod, and I still haven't done the content creating, and I still haven't started the business. And I was starting to panic. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? But then I realized I was like, I'm not even doing the little things to celebrate myself and celebrate the life that the good Lord gave me. And so I decided, what is one thing that I have been procrastinating on and something I haven't done in a really long time? And for me, even though I'm just a little bit of a beginner and I'm not a guru or anything, I really like taking pictures, being in the spotlight, or at least trying to be, because let's be honest, not all of us are born into the Model S world or just model status. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can still be a pretty girl and not be in the industry, but it's not like I'm in the industry or anything like that. But as somebody who sometimes struggles with body image, I feel like once a year I have to get out of my comfort zone, and it can be a photo shoot or a video or taking some pictures for Instagram, something, even if it's not for Instagram, even if it's not leaving my house. I have to set up some sort of camera time. And I think in the age that we live in now, I think more women need to prioritize making themselves feel like a celebrity, an influencer. You don't even have to be big-headed about it or anything like that. It feels good to appreciate the body that you're in any state that you're in, whether that's after a child or after some weight gain or after some weight loss, whatever it is. I meant to say also if, you're a little thinner than you want to be or a little bigger, whatever it is, we all come in different shapes and sizes. And we all have something about us that we were created with, and everyone should find a way to feel confident in their skin, no matter where they're at. Now, as important as it is to appreciate where you're at in this present moment, it's just as important to be honest about your shortcomings while being cautious of the self-love process as well. And it's completely possible to love yourself as you are, but continuously improve on your shortcomings. It's just we don't need to announce to the entire world every little bit of detail of the things that are our shortcomings all the time. It's okay to talk about it without continuously just making yourself feel bad about it. It's okay to acknowledge your emotions and your feelings and what you're going through, but also recognizing that you're dealing with it. You're going through it and you're being honest about where you're at. You're reminding yourself that you're still as imperfectly perfect as you were made, and that you will you will be the best version of yourself at the right time, but also not forgetting that procrastination can really waste that valuable time, which we also don't want. There's just so many things sometimes to be careful about and to be cautious about. You don't want to overwhelm yourself and make yourself feel less than, but you also don't want to live in a fake fairy tale world where you think that you can do no wrong and that there's nothing for you to change, fix, elevate, or grow on. there is such thing as balance. And it's also perfectly normal sometimes to forget that you can have a balance. Now, something else I wanted to talk about, and I think we all understand that sometimes comparison is and can be the thief of joy. And in the technological age that we live in, with technology being something that we wake up and it's sometimes, if not all the time, the first thing that we look at, it can be very intoxicating. It can be very, it can be very programming. Sometimes what we see can really program our mind and can make it difficult for us to get out of this, pace where all we're doing is looking online all day, every day. And I really just want to encourage me, myself, and everyone else listening to this podcast to really prioritize how long that they're watching other people's content instead of making their own. Because I really want this to be a place where we cultivate and we start to create our own content. Because as far as I know, and as, far as I see things going, things are not changing anytime soon, and people are living their lives more and more online. And there's two sides to this coin. You're either making content or you're watching content, and most of us are doing both. I really don't know anyone who doesn't watch any content. I mean, I'm sure there's someone out there, but you have to prioritize your emotional health and well-being, and that doesn't mean that you have to be, you know, straight face, centered, and you have to be, your face first online. You can make a faceless, profile. There's so many ways that you can create without having to, be, your physical presence being the, way of doing things. Sometimes we're not there yet. Sometimes we want to work behind closed doors and we want to figure out our life first. And that's completely okay. It doesn't always have to be face content. It can always be, faceless content. And I think a lot of influencers are showing the blueprint nowadays to go ahead and create faceless content as well. And there's a lot of information out there. So sometimes you have to learn how to separate the information that's not getting you anywhere. If you're watching a video and it's been 2, 3, 4 minutes and you're not getting anything out of it and you're not getting the information that you want, it's clickbait. You are not watching the type of video, the right video, in order to receive and achieve the right information and to actually get to your goals. And you have to be very aware of people who are, spreading information just to, make money. And of course, the whole point of creating good content is not just to educate people, but obviously you're trying to make a living as well. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say that it's wrong to want to make a living out of social media, but I just really want people to be aware of the type of information that they're spreading. And I really want them to try, at least, because obviously, everyone has a moment where sometimes they may say the wrong thing, or, what they're trying to say gets misconstrued, because I don't want people to sit here and think that we should just take every person's word to heart, because a lot of good people and a lot of bad people, just because you say things a certain way doesn't show your whole and true character, and, doesn't show who you are as a person just based off of a few words or a couple of minutes. It's a lot that goes into it when it comes to, not judging a book by its cover. And we don't, you have to realize that we see a very small portion of most people's real day-to-day life, and they're just giving us a glimpse into their world. But back to what I was saying, it's just not fair to yourself to compare yourself to someone who has been on social media practically their whole life, or maybe even 5, 6, 7 years. You have to be realistic about your goals. If you are not consistently producing face or faceless content, how are you going to make those dreams come true? And a lot of us are waiting for the perfect timing, or we're waiting for perfection in our craft, but there is just not many ways to be perfect at the very beginning. Even people who, go through a company or have extra help, they're only getting better and better. What you may see as a perfect beginning, to them probably isn't even a perfect beginning. So just building your craft and, working on that on your own time, but also not wasting your time is just so important. And today I'm just talking a little bit about what that looks like to me and what it means for me to, begin my journey in the content creating space. And I think a lot of the hesitation came from, oh, but this person is, doing so amazing and I'm so happy for them, but I'm not on that level. And just all this comparison and just wanting to, have this perfection from the jump, from the beginning, and just realizing that we're never going to be perfect people. And, my first video, I sounded a little shaky. I sounded a little intimidated, but I also just didn't know how to, show you guys that on the inside, I'm actually pretty, feeling pretty confident today and I'm actually feeling pretty great. But even just articulating yourself sometimes and learning how to get to the point where you can articulate yourself. Like, I know I'm starting now, but like, I didn't start now. I not gonna lie to you guys, I've been recording and recording and recording for about a couple of years now. And I wanted to give up because every time I record, I'm like, this is not what I meant. This is not how I wanted to sound. This is, the meaning is lost in translation, or I would get off topic, or, it's public speaking and like learning how to talk and communicating is a dying skill nowadays. It's something that, with everyone being online and people not communicating as straightforward, it's sometimes challenging to get people to understand what you really mean or to really get your point across. So just working on my public speaking skills and working on really, making sure that people get my point across and just coming off and, really being the most authentic version of myself. Because a lot of times, and I'm going to get into this next topic from here. And the next topic is dealing with toxic friendships. And I think that this ties in with a lot of how people, have this way of isolating themselves in the wrong way. There's a way to do it. There's a way to, just work on yourself in private. And then there's, not allowing yourself to breathe. There's like levels to isolation, and there's a healthy way to do it where you're still, in the right spaces and you're still in the right rooms, but it's like to a minimized, portion, and you're not just doing that all the time. Isolation is not exactly bad. It's how you do it and how much of it you can handle. You have to have, a way of doing it that is healthy for you. And you have to know your limitations when it comes to, everyone's like, isolate and come back stronger and be this amazing person. But like, you don't want to just like drop all your great friends. Now, if you're in a situation where a lot of the people you're around are toxic and, have all these expectations for you when you're trying to work on yourself, in 2025, we want low maintenance friendships. Okay. And if the friendship is high maintenance, give me a good reason. Make sure that we've been friends for long enough time for you to have these expectations, and know that I'm a person and that I know you're a person and that sometimes we're going to fall short and that's normal, but neither of us had bad intent and we have the best intent for each other, and we always try our best to be there for each other. And just, I have expectations. I'm not saying don't have expectations for friendships nowadays, but I'm saying when I say lower, your maintenance on friendships, I mean, I shouldn't be knowing you for a few months and you think I automatically owe you all my time. And I have things to do, and so should you. And it's just people sometimes, you know, shout out to the low maintenance friendships where like you don't see each other for a long time sometimes, but whenever you do link or you do talk, it's always the same energy because that is so underrated and so necessary in the world that we live in today. Again, we're talking about a heavy topic right now, which is dealing with toxic friendships. Because I feel like people underestimate what a toxic friendship can do to your life and how detrimental it can be, and what it means to, you know, your future self when you are involved with a toxic person, a toxic group, and what that means and why you need to remove yourself from that situation and how important it is to your future self, to your present self, and how unfair it is to your past self and what you've dealt with and what you've been through to continue to even entertain friendships that are toxic on that level. And today, I am going to be the advocate for myself and for you when it comes to realizing that in the right time, when you work on your business and you work on your, entrepreneurship adventures, you will find the right people and you will find your tribe, or your tribe will find you, whichever comes first. And I want to encourage you not to let, the people around you, maybe it's family, maybe it's, cousins, or like whatever it is. I just use cousins as an example. My cousins are amazing, but whatever it is, whoever it is, sometimes even family can, get in your ear like, hey, you're not hanging around people much. You're not doing the things you used to do. And like sometimes it's a little bit personal to like talk about, and you don't want to like go into detail. Sometimes you just want to keep things to yourself, but you know why you have distanced yourself from certain people, and you know what you need in order to elevate. Because at the end of the day, you have to focus on the things that will still be there at the end of the day. You have to focus on the things that are in your control, not the things that are out of your control. And as much as we want friendships to be smooth sailing, it can be most of the time if you're in the right friendships. And today I just don't be afraid to be alone. Don't be afraid to be, you know, the person that, breaks away from the toxic group or the toxic friendship, and realize that you know I do think that sometimes people for a very short period of time, and there'll be people who have been there all along, and the people that you've known for a short period of time will be much better friends. But I just think that there's a trial period when it comes to getting to know people, and I still don't think you should rush into you know letting everyone know all your secrets, which I don't think you should ever do, to be honest. I think that there's just certain things that you should just keep to yourself and between you and whoever it is that is, actually there to stay, like your significant other. But back to what I was saying, I'm going to give you some tea on how to avoid toxic friendships. And female friendships, I don't know about, male friendships, because, I'm sure y'all have your issues and everything, but as far as I know, I feel like men like handle men friendships so much better than women. Quote me if I'm wrong. So, number one, this is the blueprint, guys. Go to therapy or seek some sort of therapeutic support group. This is the first step. Now, you might think that this is a leap, but if you see a continuous pattern in your life, then you need to take the initiative to seek the support that you need to validate your emotions and feel that what you are going through is unfair to you to the point where you get out of this toxic cycle. Because a lot of times in these type of friendships, in these unhealthy relationships, in these situations that we involve ourselves in, it's not the first time and it's not the last time. So you need to identify the problem and tackle it. Number one. Now, next, you need to journal about everything, but in this specific and certain situation about the friendship or the friendships or whatever it is. Journaling is key to your overall success. And I'm going to be honest, it's very hard to be consistent and continue to journal on a consistent basis. So, my advice is even if it's not starting a podcast, get out that, voice record app that most everyone has on their iPhone or whatever phone. I don't know if the Galaxy, and I'm sure they all have their own voice recording memo places. But anyways, just, prioritize doing it, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes a day and you're just recording your voice and then listening to it later. You are doing a lot of things for yourself. First of all, you are becoming a better public speaker. You're learning how to talk to people. There's so much that you're doing for yourself. You are learning to reflect on your past and your present self and who you want to be in the future. There was this girl on Instagram, or I think it was TikTok, and she was looking back at her video from a year ago and making a new video, and I thought it was so creative. And she was making a new video and she was basically like seeing if she achieved all of the goals that she had set in the last video. And we just live in such a fast-paced environment nowadays that I feel it's important to find new ways to have a structure in your life that don't take up so much of your time, especially when time is so limited. Now, I need you guys to understand that, and I took a lot of time to understand this as well. The first year in a friendship is a trial period. I'm going to repeat this because I think it's really important. The first year in a friendship is a trial period. It is the period of time where it's almost like when you're dating someone for the first time, but in a friendship. And, on one of these episodes, I'm going to go into the difference between like friendship between like the same, gender and like opposite genders, because that's also a whole other conversation, but it's a difficult one to have, and we're gonna keep that for another time. I don't know what season that's gonna be, to be honest, because that's a tough one for me because I have mixed emotions about that one. But back to what I was saying, the first year is a trial period. And I feel like I need you guys to make this a principle in your life. And that's not to say that you don't appreciate someone in the first year. That's not what this is about. It's about taking the time to actually get to know people. Because as much as I truly think that you can bond with someone in a few months and they can feel like you've known them your whole life, you have to remember that you don't know this person. You don't know their triggers. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know who they are yet. This is just you learning each other for the first time. Do they allow you to have space? Are they considerate of your feelings? Do they communicate? That's actually on the list as well. Do they allow you to have a low maintenance friendship, or are they high maintenance? And if you do prefer high maintenance friendships, you have to identify why. Because I truly feel like if it's too high maintenance, of course that, through time and there's going to be certain moments where it's high maintenance, but if it's consistent and you have no time to focus on yourself and you are always on E and you're always tired and you're always putting more energy and effort into other people than it is yourself, and you're not prioritizing your own self-care and your own self-love, and you're not taking time to yourself, if you're aging out, like in a bad way, not in a good way, because we're all aging, but if you're, like looking tired, if there's, frown lines that are getting deeper by the minute, and you know, if you just seem to not be able to keep, maybe it's not you trying to, not keeping up, but maybe you're just not giving yourself the time and prioritizing yourself. And a lot of times these friendships can suck the life out of us if they're not the right ones. So I think it's really important to, find someone you trust, and you don't have to tell them all the details, but if it's that serious, then I mean, it's just your sister or brother that I'm thinking of, and maybe a cousin if, you don't have a relationship with them or a good one or whatever it is situation. Just go to someone that is around your age. And of course, you can go to someone older, and a lot of people like say go to someone older, and I'm gonna just, trust you on that if you think it's a situation for someone older or younger. But personally, if it's about a friendship, I feel like that's lightweight. It's not like a relationship. It's not about family. It's not about like anything too personal. I feel like it's okay to go to like a sibling or a cousin for advice. And I just feel like if you have a good relationship with your family, I feel like going to them about little things, or like something that's repetitive, can be really helpful, and they can really, give you some clarity. And I don't see why, because some people are like, oh no, you shouldn't go to your family members about your friends. But if you can't go to your family, then who can you go to? And I'm sure that, parents are also a good choice, but personally, I prefer going to my brother or sister, especially at the age that we're at now. I feel like our parents have their own life going on, and like it's one thing as like a teenager to ask for advice about friendships, but I think at a certain age, I feel like asking your brother or sister is like preferable in my opinion. But like I said, that one is, to each like person's interpretation. Set healthy boundaries with people in your life. Very, very, very important concept. Boundaries. A lot of people, and this can also have to do with how you grew up. Some of us, were a little suffocated and, a little sheltered, and, you know, maybe that isn't even the case. Maybe you were neglected. Like everyone has a certain situation that made them the way that they are. But a lot of times, for one reason or another, a lot of people have a hard time setting boundaries in their life, especially with people in their life. And I feel like sometimes we forget that people, and, people that we're around, we absorb their energy and they absorb our energy, and it can really be detrimental to how we think and how we feel. And it can, energy is only created or transferred, it's never destroyed. I mean, if you're here. And, it's really, really important to set goals and achieve the things that you have and align with your vision. And in order to do so, you have to set healthy boundaries with the people in your life. Communicate clearly. Let them know your priorities. And if they can't respect that, that's a problem. A problem that you have now identified so that you can get past it, and so that you can be the best and the greatest version of yourself, because it's pretty girl season and we don't have time for the distractions. Now, I'm going to be careful how I say this next point, because I don't want it to get misconstrued. I'm not saying, listen, I'm not sitting here saying to get rid of a perfectly healthy and savable and rich and, great friendship in your life. That is not what I'm saying. Don't just ditch the girl who's always been there for you. That is not a healthy way to deal with friendships. There's other ways to deal with friendships of that sort, and that's just simply communicating that you need time, space. What it is that you need is definitely able to be interpreted with the right person. But when it comes to the person or the people that have been toxic for way, way too long, and you see how that is draining your energy, and you see how you could be living on a whole different and a whole elevated place of, you know, being and living, and they're taking away from you and your livelihood, now that's a whole different story. Those people in your life that no matter how many chances you give them, they are constantly damaging you. Don't hesitate to end a friendship like that. Consistently damaging you, you know how long it's going to take for you to fix that trauma that you get from people like this? Please, for the love of mankind, identify toxic behaviors early on. I wish someone had given me that advice a long time ago. Identify I'm going to repeat myself. Identify toxic behaviors early on. That is such an essential life skill because as we grow, as we get older, we are going to meet new people. Meeting new people is inevitable. It is something that is constantly happening in our lives. And you don't deserve to consistently be around people who throw away everything it is that you are and give you nothing but toxic energy back when all you do is try to be the best version of you and try to be a good friend to people and a good wife and a good, person in society and a good daughter and whatever it is that you are. Ask yourself, like really sit down with yourself and identify and ask yourself, does this person constantly add to my life or subtract? Such an important concept. The only concept in math you need to understand this podcast. Does this person add to my life or subtract? I'm just kidding about the math concept. But back to what I was saying. Focus on your own well-being and finances. I don't know why I said that was the only thing you're going to need when it comes to math, because that's definitely not true. Although we definitely have a lot of technology to help us with that nowadays. First off, self-care. Because honestly, if no matter how much money you have, like I sit here sometimes and I'm like, there's these people out here with all this money. Please, for the love of God, please self-care. And I'm so glad our generation, Gen Z, I'm so proud of us because we have really prioritized self-care to a whole nother level that is like scaring like people. Like we're sitting here in our youth constantly like doing organic face masks and just skincare and body care, and it's like they just cannot handle us, and it's just like so refreshing. Because I'm telling you, there's a reason our 30s are the new 20s, and it's because our generation, we actually do a pretty good job at this, but sometimes friendships can get in the way. Focus on your own well-being. But I'm not going to lie, and we can all sit here and say inflation, but let's not forget credit cards and how we utilize the money we do have. So get your finances together. If your finances are not together, why are you even worried about that friendship? You have no business crying over friendships when you're not crying over your pockets. Okay, because I find it to be a lot harder to live in this world and live in this life without no money. Okay, because let's be real here. Let's be real here. $0 or zero friends. Which one sounds harder? Okay, now if listen, to each its own. I'm not judging you on the answer. Next. So we already said set healthy boundaries. But sometimes you just gotta go no contact. It just depends on the situation. if you have to, right? Unfollow them on social media, but only if you're serious. If you're going to go back and follow them, then forget unfollowing and just go for the mute button. Just make it easy on yourself. Whatever works for you. But just a little bit of advice, tweak it to your own, suggestion and what works better for you. Delete their phone number. But if you need to know who it is on the other side, just delete the thread if you can handle it and just stop answering back. Yeah, I mean, of course there's the block button, but I really don't advise using the block button too much. If it's like some person who's like not like, just texting you constantly and like won't stop, then yes, block them. Please block them, block me, block anyone. Block anyone if that's the case. Okay? And it's not even like I don't know. I have a funny relationship with the block button. I feel like it's so temporary because like how many of us, I don't know if I'm the only one, but I just go back in and like eventually unblock people unless it's that constant, then I'm sure that I would not, but I'm sure that I mean there's some people that like still talk, but they're talking to themselves at this point because if your number is not saved, Ari is not answering, okay? Especially, I'm not even telling you who I am. It's who's this? Yes, who's this? It's the most generic, maybe not even that, maybe a hi. Like what? I don't know. Like I don't know if I've ever said what, but I'm just being dramatic right now. But okay, let's get serious here. Join a community. Listen, I'm telling you, join a community that has the same values as you, whether that's a religious community or, whether it's, entrepreneurial community, whatever kind of community it is, join a community so that you have like-minded individuals that are working towards the same goals as you. Very, very important. If you don't have a community and you're cutting off toxic friendships, it's going to be really hard for you. Because isolation doesn't mean don't have a sense of community, a sense of identity. You still have to be present in the world you live in, but there's a way to do it without distracting yourself. And finally, start a hobby that you enjoy that could potentially make you money in the long run. Now, of course, there's hobbies that, we're just doing for fun. Like if I go to a boxing place and like do like one session there, I'm not gonna go like be a boxer, but like, I learned some, self-defense and how to, take care of myself in a, situations that, could happen to anyone. And, like obviously there's some, hobbies that we start just to start, but even then you should be getting something out of it. But I'm gonna, go straight to the point and just say, I personally think that everyone should be in the content creating space. And it's only gonna skyrocket from here. The possibilities are endless. And if you're not sure, find people that you know in your life because you know someone. There is someone out there that you communicate with. You might just not know, but there is someone out there that you communicate with that is at least putting in the effort. They might not even have a platform. They may have a platform that you don't know about, or it might just be like a micro influencer, 100, 1,000, 5,000 followers. It might be even around that range, but they started something and they're further along, and you could also have the potential of being further along because I know for me, the conversations I had with people who were also, either in or working on the content creating field, having those one-on-one conversations really motivated me to put myself out there and start to create, because there's just something about the creative world, the creative realm that really keeps me motivated and feeling like my truest self, that I just want to spread the positivity and I want to help other people feel more confident and feel like they can also participate in the things that they love. Because the beautiful thing about content creating is you're just showing the most joyous, happiest moments of your life and you're turning it into a craft. And who doesn't want to live their dream life? Who doesn't want to, get paid for living and simply living their life? And, I want to open the conversation and open the gates for people to be on social media without having to fear oversharing. You don't have to necessarily tell people everything. You just need to find a niche, which I know a lot of creators are talking about right now. But seriously, guys, all you need to do is find a niche that you're good at and something that comes naturally to you. And I think I got some really great advice from like some YouTube video I was watching. I'm sure it was an amazing creator. And the advice was, it shouldn't be something that is going to break your neck. Okay, that's not how she said it. But it shouldn't be something that is out of the ordinary of something that you usually do on a regular day. It should be something that you have built a habit of doing, that you love doing, that is a hobby, whether that's makeup or skincare or teaching people online how to grow their hair longer and how to do your own nails or like DIY projects. And just, I really just, feel like we had some great topics today and that we were able to make light of a heavy, but not so heavy, toxic, sort of toxic topic today. And I feel like I want this to really be a self-help manual to people out there. You're not alone. And someone today that I was having a conversation with at Bible study group told me something really, really great. And I feel like was really, really powerful. And it was just that, to summarize, there is someone out here going through exactly what it is that you're going through, and you're not alone, and you're not the first person in this world to have dealt with the things that you're going through. And it's just having a safe space and a community is so essential, guys, because you hear positive things like this every day. And I'm just so grateful that like I have been aligned to, this safe space that I'm creating for myself. And I wish you all the best. And I just wanted to tell you to stay strong. Don't allow toxic friendships or toxic relationships or situationships. Don't allow other people to have too much power over your life. You are stronger than you think. You are an amazing individual, and life is going to get so much better the day that you decide to make the decisions, and this is on a daily basis, to become the person that you know you are and that you know that you can avoid. Because here's the other thing that could happen. You could not do the things that you were supposed to be doing, and you could have a whole alternate universe, a whole alternate reality where you don't become the person that you know you're supposed to do. And that causes people to, dwell on the fact that it's this cycle of dwelling and dwelling and just continuing to, keep thinking lower of yourself than is the actual reality, because the thoughts in your mind, the thoughts that you think, your thought process literally controls every aspect of your life. So that is the conclusion of how to avoid toxic friendships, and a little bit on content creation, which we will definitely get more into. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. And of course, it is like 3 a.m. right now. Happy birthday to me. I literally almost forgot it was my birthday, and I'm really, really happy all of a sudden. So happy birthday to me, and happy birthday to anyone else out there.